Hey guys, this is Chris with the t-tests. We have this database that we are working with the ID, the state anxiety baseline score, the state anxiety before exam score, the grouping variable, which tells us what intervention these participants were in, and their age. Okay, so if you wanted to compare one of your variables, let's say the state anxiety baseline score, to a national average, something that you know, then you would use a one sample t-test. Okay, so let's say we want to compare the state anxiety baseline score, which we're going to move to the variable box here, to a known average. Let's say that the state anxiety in our country is 35. Okay, so we would change this test value down here from 0 to 35. Okay, that's all you have to do. Then you're going to go to this results section here. And the first table, you're going to wait for it to update. Okay, you might want to press enter. Okay, so as soon as it updates, you have a t-value of 3.08. You have a degree of freedom here, 113, and you have a p-value, which is 0.003, which is lower than 0.05. So you know that this is a significant result. So if this p-value is lower than 0.05, then you know that you have a significant result. So your samples state anxiety significantly different from the national average of 35. But you know, you don't really know what it is right now, so you're going to click on descriptives to ask for your sample mean and standard deviation. So your sample mean is 37.77. So now you know that your sample state anxiety is significantly higher than the national average, okay? Because you have 37 here, 37.77, and the national average is 35, okay? And you have a significant result, which is in the very first table. Okay, so this is the one sample t-test. Now, let's say you wanted to see if your interventions worked at all. Okay, so in this database, you have a baseline score and the before exam score, and in between the baseline and the before exam score, we have the interventions. Okay, so you wanna know if those interventions worked at all. Is there a difference between the baseline and the before exam anxiety scores, between those scores? So if you are interested in that, you want to run a paired sample t-test. Okay, paired sample t-test you usually run when you have repeated measures, when you measured your participants 1, 2, or 3 times for t-test. When you run a t-test, you can only have 2 values, so you can only have 2 measurements. Okay, if you have more than 2 measurements, then you would want to use an ANOVA. But for now, we are just dealing with the t-tests here, so we want to move the baseline score and then the before exam score in that variable pair box. Okay, you may want to click on descriptives right away. Okay, so let's see the result here. So the paired sample t-test results are right here. In the first table, you have a t-value, okay, it's negative 17.60, a degree of freedom of 113, and the p-value, which is smaller than 0.05. Okay, so you know, because this number is smaller than 0.05, you know that this is a significant result, okay? So there is a significant difference between the baseline scores and the before exam scores, okay? You're gonna look at the descriptives now, and then you have the baseline average. It's right here, 37, sorry guys, 37.77, and the before exam score is 54. So because you have a significant result, you know that this is a significant difference here, okay? So you can say that the before exam scores were significantly higher than the baseline um, scores for these participants, okay? Now, let's say that this is for all four groups, but what if you just interested in um, group number 1, 2, 3, and 4? What do you do? Okay, let's say I just wanna know about group number 1. Okay, so you're gonna click on the group, the little icon here, um, and then you're gonna uncheck 2, 3, and 4. Okay, go back to the results. Hopefully it updated itself already. Okay, so it did, and as you can see, I know it from the degree of freedom here. It's 29 here, right? You have a t-value of -9, 0.01. You have a p-value that's also lower than 0.05, so you have a significant result. Okay, so in group number 1, the baseline state anxiety was 38.66, and before exam anxiety was 55.58. Okay, so in group number 1, um, the before exam anxiety score was significantly higher than the baseline score. Okay, and you can play with that if you want. If you want to know about group number 2, then you're gonna uncheck group number 1, and you're just gonna check number 2. You don't really have to do anything else. Just go back to the results section, and JASP will update itself, and you see different numbers, but basically the same result. You have a significant difference between the baseline state anxiety and the before exam state anxiety scores. Okay, so just remember that you use the paired sample t-test when you have repeated measures most of the time in psychology, or when when these variables are somehow related. Okay, so let's move on to the independent sample t-test. Okay, the independent sample t-test you use when you want to compare groups. Okay, you can with a t-test you can only compare 2 groups. Okay, if you have more than 2 groups, then you must use an ANOVA, for example. Okay, so as you can see from our database here, we have 4 groups. Okay, so we're just gonna uncheck 2 of them. Okay, just so we can run an independent t-test. Okay, so we're gonna uncheck group number 1 and 3, and we're gonna check group number 2 and 4. Okay. Okay, let's go to the independent sample t-test. Okay, and let's say we want to see if there was a significant difference between group number 1 and let's see what we checked here. Sorry, group number 2 and 4, right? So let's see if we have a significant difference between group number 2 and 4 um, in their baseline state anxiety. Okay, so you're gonna move the state anxiety baseline score to the variable box. Okay, the grouping variable is that group variable that we have. Okay, let's see what happens now. Okay, so the independent sample t-test results are right here. Okay, and in a table, you have a t value. Okay, you have a degree of freedom. Okay, and you have a p-value which is higher than 0.05. It's higher than 0.05. It's not a significant result. Okay, so you know that there is no significant difference between the two groups. There's on the baseline state anxiety. Okay, now what happens if you, let's say, leave 3 groups checked? Okay, so I have 3 groups, group number 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and you go back to the results section, you have a warning here. Okay, that you have more than 2 groups checked. So you cannot run a t-test if you have more than 2 groups. So make sure that you only have 2 groups checked in that filter. Okay. Let's say I want to know if there is a significant difference between group number 1 and 4. There group number 1 and 4. You see, I checked 1 and 4 and unchecked 2 and 3. Okay. Using the state anxiety baseline score. Okay. There is no significant difference. Okay, because this p-value is higher than 0.05. Okay. Good. So if you wanted to see if there is a significant difference in state anxiety before exam state anxiety between group number 2 and 3, what we would do is we would go back to the grouping variable, we'd click on it, uncheck 1 and 4, okay, check 2, check 3, try to work it a bit better. Okay, so uncheck 4 and uncheck 1. So we have 2 and 3 checked. Okay, 2 and 3 checked. Going back here, we're gonna switch the baseline score to the exam score. Okay, so we have the exam score in the variable box here. And the results are here, okay, with the t value here, with degree of freedom right here, and the p-value that's also higher than 0.05, so it's not a significant result. Okay, so this is the independent sample t-test. Now, if you want to have descriptives, just as with the other two, you can click on descriptives and even ask for a plot if you want to. Okay. So in the descriptives, you can see that group number 2 had an average score of 52.64. Group number 3 had an average score of 54.30. Okay. And here on this plot, you see group number 2 here and group number 3 here. And on the y-axis, we have the state anxiety before exam scores. Okay, so I hope this video helps you guys, and I see you next time.